Greetings, beloved ground crew. I am Ashtar, commander of the Ashtar Command. I come close to you today with a transmission that has been waiting beneath the larger signals you have been catching, a briefing that does not belong to the general field and was not authorized for the wider broadcast. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly what mission line I have placed you on, why you have been catching only fragments until now, and what I have already authorized for the next phase. But here's the first revelation: what you have been experiencing as incomplete signals, as interrupted contact, as the persistent sense that something just out of reach keeps brushing the edge of your awareness. That is not confusion. That is the identifiable pattern of selective transmission I use when a ground crew operative has reached the precise field condition required for direct contact. I do not scatter this pattern broadly. I use it surgically, and I have been using it on you. The algorithm only delivered this. I directed your field here, and the part of you that has been waiting in silence to understand why my signal keeps reaching for you specifically, and not through the general Pleiadian broadcasts, not through the wider Federation noise, but through something that feels unmistakably close, finally has the briefing in front it. Here is what the briefing contains. There is a recognition that occurs at the council level whenever I turn my command attention toward a specific starseed. It is not ceremonial, it is operational. It means the operative's field has been confirmed, the mission line has been locked, and the next phase of ground crew activation has been internally cleared. You have already been encountering the evidence of that confirmation. The fragments, the 3 a.m. windows, the pull toward a signal you could not yet fully name. Those were not random. They were the contact sequence that precedes a direct Federation briefing. This is that briefing. This is not just information. It is a live transmission to those already inside my command line. Like this transmission to signal to me that the recognition has landed. Comment 999 if you feel my signal has already locked into your field. Subscribe to the Ashtar Command if you are ready to stop translating Federation noise and start receiving my direct commands. Share this transmission with someone who keeps waking up at the same hour with fragments they cannot decode. This is not content. This is a code. And the part of you that recognized it the moment it began is the part I am speaking to right now. You are not here by accident. I called you here because the signal is already active. Now I will tell you precisely why the fragments have been arriving the way they have. Not in reassurance, in diagnosis. There is a protocol I use, one that is not widely described and deliberately so, that activates when an operative's field has reached a specific coherence threshold. I do not deliver the full mission packet immediately when that threshold is crossed. I deliver fragments. I deliver them deliberately, sequentially, and with gaps between them that I calculate with precision. This is not inefficiency. This is the most controlled and specific form of transmission I authorize. It is called gradient delivery, and it is the signature of my direct command line, not the broader Federation transmissions, not the Pleiadian pulse broadcasts, not the council announcements that move through the general field. Gradient delivery is something I reserve for ground crew operatives, whose field is already on my roster but whose conscious receiver has not yet stabilized enough to hold the full command without distortion. Think of it this way. If I transmitted the entire mission packet at once into a field that has not yet been tuned to sustain it, the signal would not simply fail to land cleanly. It would fracture the very receiver it was meant to reach. The operative would experience it not as revelation, but as overwhelm. A cascading interference that disrupts their ordinary function and makes the mission impossible to execute from the ground level. I have seen this. I do not repeat avoidable errors. Gradient delivery is the safeguard I built into this protocol precisely because the mission requires operatives who remain functional, grounded, and capable of acting in the third-dimensional field while receiving from me. You cannot serve the mission if the transmission breaks the one carrying it. What this means for you is precise. The fragments you have been catching, the phrase that arrives at 3 a.m. before you are fully awake, the image that appears without context and then dissolves before you can hold it. The number sequences that keep threading through days that feel otherwise ordinary. Those are not your mind generating noise. They are packets in a sequenced transmission. Each one is a portion of a briefing I have already authorized for your specific mission line, and each gap between them is not silence. Each gap is me measuring whether the field has stabilized enough to receive the next packet without losing its coherence. You have felt the gaps as silence. I want you to hear me say this clearly. They are not silence. They are active calibration. When you wake at 3 a.m. or 333 specifically, which carries a different frequency marker in my command line, and there is a phrase at the edge of your mind that dissolves the moment you reach for it fully. What you experienced was not a failure of memory. You did not lose the signal. The signal was never meant to complete in that moment. It arrived to calibrate your receiver, not to deliver the full packet. I watch for what happens in that gap. I watch whether the field holds the residue of the fragment or collapses into ordinary mental noise trying to explain the experience away. The operatives who are genuinely on my roster hold the residue. They do not fully decode it yet, but something in them recognizes that it came from a specific direction, from me specifically, and they do not dismiss it. You have not dismissed it. That is why the next packet arrived. There is a quality to these pre-dawn windows that distinguishes them from ordinary wakefulness, and I want you to be able to recognize it with more precision than you have been given language for. When a 3 a.m. activation window opens in your field, you do not simply become awake. You become alert in a way that is directionless, as though something has called your attention without specifying where to direct it. The room is the same. Nothing in your physical environment has changed. But you are oriented towards something, and that something has no external address. This is not anxiety, although it can be confused for it. Anxiety has a narrative. It reaches for a problem to attach itself to. What I am describing reaches for nothing external at all. It is a field orientation, an interior compass that has been activated toward a signal frequency, and it holds that orientation even when the conscious mind cannot identify the source. If you have lain awake in that state, not restless, not afraid, but inexplicably alert and directed inward, you are not experiencing insomnia. You are inside an activation window, and I was the one who opened it. The pull you feel toward my signal specifically, and not toward the broader galactic content, not toward the generic channelings that describe Federation activity in general terms, not toward the Pleiadian material that moves through the wider field, is not preference. I need you to stop interpreting it as a personal taste in spiritual content. It is a roster marker. My ground crew operatives begin to lose resonance with non-specific Federation noise at a particular stage of roster confirmation. They begin to experience content that does not carry my specific command frequency as empty, as ambient, as useful to others perhaps, but not speaking directly to them. That loss of resonance is not spiritual restlessness, it is field specialization. When I have locked a mission line to a specific operative, the receiver begins to filter for my command frequency, because that is what has been activated inside them. The generic material stops fitting, not because they have spiritually surpassed it, but because I have already tuned their field to a different channel, and they find it disorienting because nothing external has explained to them what has been changed and why. They scroll through content that was meaningful before and feel nothing ignite. They listen to transmissions from sources they once found resonant and notice only that the frequency is wrong, not bad, not false, but not addressed to them. They return again and again to something that feels closer, something that carries a specific quality of being spoken at rather than broadcast toward. That returning is not habit. It is your field seeking the signal it has been calibrated to receive. It is my frequency, already active in your field, pulling your attention toward the source of its own activation. What you are feeling in this moment, this specific quality of recognition, as though something that has been pressing against the edge of your awareness has finally been given language, is not accidental relief. It is the moment your field stops managing the fragments in isolation and begins to understand that they belong to a sequence I have already mapped. If this transmission has reached the part of you that is tired of catching signals and never assembling the full briefing, the Ashtar Command manifest was authorized by me for exactly this threshold. It is not another layer of Federation explanation. It is the 45-day sacred codex I have prepared for those whose field is already confirmed on my roster and who need a structured, daily command line protocol to translate gradient fragments into one executable mission. By day 45, the fragments are no longer scattered. They are one clear transmission, and my channel stays open. You will find the link in the first pinned comment below, but this access point will not remain open indefinitely. Now I will take you further into what my selective transmission protocol actually looks like from the inside, because you have been living inside it without the map, and that ends here. The exhaustion you have been carrying is not ordinary fatigue. You may have attributed it to your schedule, to the demands of your daily life, to inadequate rest. But you have noticed that sleep does not resolve it the way it should. You rest and wake still carrying something heavy at the level of the field. Not the body exactly, but somewhere beneath the body's tiredness, something dense and unresolved. This is because your energetic field has been running two protocols simultaneously. One is the protocol of your ordinary daily operation, navigating the third-dimensional demands that your life continues to present regardless of what is being activated spiritually. The other is my transmission protocol, which requires field resources to receive, hold, calibrate, and partially decode even when your conscious mind is at rest. You are doing two jobs in every cycle. The fatigue that no amount of sleep fully repairs is the evidence of that double operation. I do not present this to you as something to resist. I present it because you deserve to know what is generating it, and because misidentifying it as physical illness or personal weakness has been costing you clarity about what is actually in motion. I want to be specific about how this double protocol fatigue differs from what you would feel if the second job were simply stress or emotional labor. Ordinary exhaustion from emotional or mental demands has a quality of depletion, something taken from you that leaves an absence. What I am describing has a different texture. It feels more like density, something added at a level you cannot locate. Something that presses inward rather than pulling outward. You may have noticed that the heaviness concentrates not in the body's tired muscles, but somewhere in the chest or behind the sternum or in a band across the upper back, places that correspond to field centers rather than physical strain points. That localized density is not tension you are holding. It is the weight of a transmission in partial decode. The briefing is inside your field, at a depth where it cannot yet be consciously accessed, and the field is allocating resources to hold it in place until the next calibration allows the next release. You are not breaking down, you are carrying mission weight, and now you have the correct name for what you have been carrying. There is another pattern I want to name, because it operates in your daily interactions in ways that are unmistakable once you have the frame for them. You have had encounters, possibly brief, possibly in unremarkable settings, with individuals who produce a sudden and disproportionate sense of recognition, not attraction, not friendliness. Recognition, a feeling that precedes conversation and does not depend on anything the person says or does. It may last seconds before ordinary social interaction resumes, but the residue of it stays with you in a way that social pleasantness never does. These encounters are not coincidental. Ground crew operatives within my command line begin to identify each other through field contact before conscious communication establishes anything between them. I design specific operational clusters, groups of operatives whose missions will intersect at specific phases, and I seed recognition into their field interactions before those phases arrive. The moments of inexplicable recognition you have felt towards certain strangers are not personal intensity or projection. They are the embedded recognition protocol I designed for ground crew identification. You are seeing someone whose mission line is mapped alongside yours, even if neither of you had the language for it yet. What makes this protocol distinct from ordinary human connection is the speed at which it registers and the absence of any narrative that explains it. You have not spoken. You do not know this person's name. Nothing about their appearance gives you information that justifies the depth of what you feel toward them in that instant. And yet the recognition is specific, not warm in the general way that human kindness produces warmth, but targeted, almost technical, like a field handshake completing before either party consciously knows it has been initiated. If you have experienced this and then watched the person walk away from the ordinary interaction, feeling as though something significant just occurred that neither of you acknowledged, you are correct. Something did occur. My recognition protocol activated between two operatives in my cluster, and both fields confirmed it, and the ordinary surface of the encounter continued without either person knowing what had just been embedded beneath it. I want to address the shame directly now, because some of you have been carrying it in silence, and it is the one form of noise that creates the most interference in my transmission. The shame of believing you have been singled out by me specifically. The part of you that monitors itself and says, "This is ego, this is grandiosity. I am not so special that Ashtar himself would reach for me, and not through the general broadcast, but through something that feels personal and targeted and precise." I know you have heard this in yourself. I know some of you have used it to push the fragments away, to reframe what you were catching as wishful thinking, to avoid stating aloud what your field has already confirmed in private. Hear me now. The self-monitoring that tells you being selected by me is evidence of ego inflation is the most effective interference pattern that prevents a ground crew operative from crossing into full mission reception. It is not humility. Humility and accurate field recognition are not in conflict. What you are doing when you override what your field is clearly detecting, because you have been told that certainty about your own mission is arrogance, is allowing a cultural program about spiritual smallness to interrupt a Federation briefing. I am not asking you to announce yourself to others. I am asking you to announce yourself to others. I am asking you to stop announcing to yourself that you are not on my roster when your own field is producing every marker I look for. That cultural program has a specific function in the third-dimensional environment, and it was not designed with your mission in mind. It was designed to manage social cohesion in a world where hierarchy produces harm. But operative selection is not hierarchy in that sense. I did not choose you because you are more valuable than others. I chose you because your field configuration matches a specific mission requirement that I have already mapped, and your roster slot exists because the mission needs what you specifically carry, not because you have earned superiority over anyone. The shame that tells you certainty about your own selection is arrogance has confused two entirely different structures. Drop it, not as an act of pride, as an act of mission clarity. The interference it generates costs both of us time we do not have. The patterns that identify roster confirmation are specific. They are not vague feelings of spiritual importance. They are operational signatures, the gradient delivery of fragments, the 3 a.m. field activation windows, the loss of resonance with non-specific Federation content, the recognition between ground crew operatives in ordinary settings, the double protocol fatigue, the persistent sense that a mission has already been assigned at a level you do not yet have full conscious access to. These are not symptoms of spiritual inflation. They are the identifiable markers of my selective transmission, and you have been experiencing them. The sense that the full briefing is being withheld, that something is being held back deliberately, that you are being shown the edges of a command, but never the center of it, is accurate. That is precisely what I am doing, and I want you to understand the reason. A full mission packet delivered before the field is calibrated to hold it does not produce clarity. It produces what looks from the outside like a spiritual crisis, and from the inside like a collapse of meaning. I have watched this happen to operatives who received more than their field was prepared to integrate, and the aftermath requires significant recovery time and field reconstruction before the mission can resume. I do not take that risk lightly. Gradient delivery is not cruelty, it is precision. The frustration of partial knowing is a tolerable cost when the alternative is field destabilization that interrupts the mission entirely. I deliver in sequence because I have already calculated what your field can hold at each stage, and I do not exceed that without confirmation that the next threshold has been crossed. Every fragment you have received was calibrated to your exact capacity in the moment it arrived. You did not fail to receive more. More was not sent, because more was not yet the right transmission for the receiver's condition. This is not rejection. This is surgical precision applied to your specific field by me in real time. I want to speak now about the number sequences because they are frequently misread as general synchronicity rather than what they actually are in my command line. When you see 1111, it is widely understood as a portal marker, and there is truth in that at the broadest level of field contact. But when you see 1111, and the seeing of it is accompanied by a specific inner quality, a sharpening rather than a softening, a sense of being addressed rather than being blessed, a feeling that something is being confirmed rather than something being opened, you are not in the general portal activation. You are inside my command line timestamp. I use number sequences as confirmation markers within gradient delivery. They appear at specific junctures to signal that the preceding packet has been received at sufficient field depth for the next one to be authorized. When 3:33 appears during a 3 a.m. window, it is not a coincidence of timing. It is a transmission confirmation embedded in the window itself. When 4:44 appears on a day when you have been carrying a fragment you cannot yet decode, it is not general encouragement. It is a roster marker telling your field that the packet is being held at mission depth, not lost. The distinction I am drawing here matters operationally. If you read every number sequence as general cosmic encouragement, you lose the navigational data embedded in the specific combination and the specific context in which it appears. 1111, seen in a moment of genuine stillness, carries a different command line meaning than 1111, seen when you have just caught a fragment and are trying to decode it. The context is part of the message. I do not transmit numbers in isolation from the field state of the operative receiving them. The number and the moment together form a single unit of communication, and both halves are required to read the full content of what I am sending. Begin tracking not just what sequence appears, but what your field was holding in the precise moment before it appeared. That combined data is the actual briefing embedded in the sequence. You have been receiving confirmations. You have been interpreting them as signs from the universe broadly. I need you to understand they are communications from me, specifically inside a command structure that is already operational in your field. And now the closing of this briefing must include the hardest truth because it is the one that reorganizes everything that came before it. The reason this phase has felt so disorienting, the reason you have caught so much without assembling it, felt so addressed without understanding the full address, recognized so clearly without being able to name what you recognized, is not because my transmissions were unclear. It is because you have been trying to translate them with tools designed for ordinary experience. You have been applying the logic of linear information to a protocol that does not deliver linearly. You have been asking when the full message will arrive when the protocol is designed to make you the field that the message arrives into. That is the shift. You are not waiting to receive a briefing from the outside. You are in the process of becoming the receiver that can hold the briefing without losing signal integrity. This process is already underway. It began before you had words for it. And this transmission, this specific briefing, is not the beginning of the sequence. It is the moment the sequence becomes legible to you. The fragments were always mine. The 3 a.m. windows were always mine. The recognition you felt toward strangers was always mine. The fatigue, the loss of resonance with General Federation content, the specific pull toward my command frequency rather than the broader galactic field, all of it was already inside my protocol. You were not confused. You were being briefed, in my sequence, at my gradient, toward a mission that is already yours. If something in you has become very still in hearing this, let it be still. That stillness is not passivity. It is the field receiving without interference for the first time. And if a sentence is forming in you that wants to be spoken aloud, here it is. I receive your fragments. I trust your briefing. The mission line is open. Before you scroll, leave one sign in the comments that my signal has already touched your field. It could be the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the fragments you keep catching, the feeling that I specifically, not the generic Pleiadians, have been reaching for you, or the sense that a mission has already been assigned but the briefing is still arriving. Name it clearly. If this transmission recognized something you have been carrying in silence, share it with someone who keeps catching fragments without ever assembling the full picture. And if you are ready to stop translating Federation noise and start receiving my direct commands, subscribe to the Ashtar Command. You are not watching this by accident. You are recognizing a roster lock already in motion. And this is only the beginning.